Hello, I'm here messing about with the 100E when I should be getting my sedan ready to run at Pendine. I'm pretty sure it's ready to run, but I am dicking around. I have an idea that I want to try and pursue, and it's to do with putting the sills on, the outer sills. It'd be very easy to just drill a few holes in the bottom, go zip, 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 zip. Drill a few holes at the top, go zip, 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 weld it in. And I might do that. But what I wanted to do is maybe look at making it so it screws on. So if I want to screw it on, obviously I will not ruin, but possibly weaken the effect of the box section effect that it gives. But to be honest, you'd never weld it on as good as they did it at the factory, especially in that area there. What I thought I would do is compensate somewhat by adding a strengthening piece to the inner sill. I looked at top hat sections and I thought, well, that's okay, but it would introduce another closed box section and another potential rust area. So I have some of this sort of handy angle or Dexian angle iron, which is good material, it's probably 2mm thick, and I've got a couple of lengths of that, so I thought I might use that because it has holes in it which will allow ventilation. Plus it's got that many holes, it's that much lighter than it would be if it was solid. So I've just gone along the bottom there and drawn a line where the inner sill needs to be trimmed off to, and I then drew a line above that to sort of make an allowance for the flange, and I've clamped the steel slotted angle on above so the sill isn't touching it. It ought to be clear all the way along. Here is a piece where the sill has a bump on it, so I'm going to trim away the strengthening piece at that point there because it's stopping it from fitting flat. Okay, I will weld this on whether or not I decide to go with the bolt-on route, because I think it will just sit in there and it will add strength to the inner sills, it'll add a lot of strength to the side of the car, and it's adding a triangular box section to it in effect. All this area here needs to be trimmed, so maybe I should look at where, to trim it so it comes short to allow the sheet metal parts to be built up around it. I think that will add quite a lot of strength, and it will help straighten that inner sill as well. Righto, I'm getting my ideas in place. Let's take the sill off and have a look. That's the idea anyway, that'll go along there like that, and it's clear of that line that I drew, and it'll add quite a bit of strength, I think, and be completely invisible. Okay, righto, back in a bit then. I have been welding this piece on here, and I don't mind telling you, it didn't go very well. You can see some of the problems I've had there. That one's not too bad, but I've helped myself by making some new little things there that help me to clamp it on. It gives me slightly better access around, and of those 4 welds there, 3 of them came out okay. It was only this one that wasn't very good, so I've laid another little one on just by the side of it, so those are okay. And I need to lay some more welds a bit further down, but I've kind of got a decent setting now. I've got it on 1 minimum, would you believe, and the feed knob straight up, so So I'll just work my way along now, clamping it as I can, and just try and get some decent welds. So I've got a decent weld, you know, every few inches all the way down. But that's alright, I think. Okay, anyway, once again, you know, learning my welding as I'm going along. Learning. Okay, back in a bit. Okay. Probably not, you know, something that's worthy of being put on the telly, but I think that's okay. It is welded in place, and it has added a lot of strength to that inner sill. You can't move that inner sill now. It's absolutely rock solid. It's a little bit wavy along the bottom edge, so I need to trim it off actually a fair bit, so I'll trim it off and then I'll try and just true the edge by hammering and dollying, get it nice and straight, and then I can at least clamp the sill on along the bottom. I haven't worked out what I'm going to do here yet. I need to work out what I want to do there, and I also haven't worked out if I'm going to be welding or bolting, but that's took ages, that has. I was finally getting the hang of the welds, and the bottom line is I couldn't see. I just couldn't see what I was doing, and I have to put that lamp right by where I'm welding to be able to see. I don't know if it's just a poor helmet that I've got or what, but it just couldn't see. You've got to be able to see, haven't you, to weld. But anyway, it is welded on every few inches. It doesn't need to be continuous or anything approaching that. It's heavy gauge steel, so that hopefully will add a fair bit of strength to the whole structure of the vehicle. Okay, righto, that's as much as I wanted to do today. So, but I'll tell you what I'll do, I'll just put this sill on. There you go. As you can see, the whole thing is hidden behind the sill. You know, something for nothing. I'd already got the metal. It's just added a bit of weight, and it's added, I would hope, a lot of strength. Okay, that'll do for now. Time for a cup of tea. I will bring you back when there's more to show. Cheers then, bye. I've kind of marked a line. I went a bit wrong here at the back. There's two scratches. I'm using the lower one, and I'm going to try and cut it a little bit below the line. So I've clamped that piece of angle iron there. That is the piece that if I end up doing the other side the same, I'll use that on the other side. So I'm going to run the angle grinder along the edge and trim off the bottom of the sill, the inner sill. I want to do this very gently because I don't want to cut into the angle. Good. Oh, you've got this in the way all the way, have you? Oh, blimey. Well, never mind. Oh, well. It's quite hot in the garage today. The only comfortable place is when you're actually lying on the concrete floor. It's very hot up here. Well, there's the sill fitted in place. It aligns quite well to the door. I might just pull it down a tiny bit at the front, and it aligns quite well to the quarter panel there. So I just need to make the decision whether to bolt it on or weld it on. Actually, I think I'm going to weld it on, because why try and reinvent the wheel? if I screw it on, there will be advantages from the point of view of it can be taken off, but you know, but you lay yourself open to all the criticism of, well, the factory didn't do it like that, did they? It's weaker. So I'll weld it on, and you know, at least I'm complying with that side of it. I don't know how I'm going to do it now. I might have to bolt it down through there. Maybe not, I don't know. I might need to put some bits of metal inside there to be able to weld it to. That quarter isn't perfect, but it's not too bad. And I want to try and retain the sort of survivor look, so I think I'll leave it like it is. In other words, I'm not going to replace like the bottom 4 inches of that panel there. Likewise the door will maintain the sort of just hanging on in there sort of look. I think, I don't know, I ain't made decisions about this yet. That's where I trimmed it, where that hole is for the front wing attachment. You have to imagine a bolt coming through there, down here like this, and holding the front wing on. It's hidden, you can't see the bolt on the wing, but I'll need to work all that out yet. Okay, alright, anyway, I've trimmed my sill. I'm quite happy with that. It's alright. I could always grind a little bit more off if need be. I've left a little bit extra on, and I could always grind a little bit more off if need be. But I don't think I'm going to be trying to bolt it on. I don't think so. I might change my mind yet. Okay, righto. Let's leave it at that for now then, and that's been a good little session, that has it. And I did get some decent welds down towards the end of it. Thanks for joining me in the garage then once more. Take care, and I'll catch you on the next one. Hello. What have I got to report? Okay, the sill, I have done the fasteners for this area here along between that panel and the sill. The remnants of the old sill were behind and kind of peeled down here and still there at that point there. So what I've done, I've drilled through there and put a speed clip in there, U-clip in the sill, and put a screw through. And here I've drilled through. I've brought the old sill back up and hammered and dollied it and trimmed it, and put the speed clips on the inner sill. On this one, and this one, the screw goes. It captures the edge of this with the washer, just missing it, and it goes through the sill and into the clip which is in the old sill. So, you know, it ought to be quite well fastened really. So you can see the new sill is the shiny, and the old sill is this piece inboard, and then that goes out and underneath. So it's the new sill is screwed to the old sill, and it's capturing that quarter panel as well. So I'm going to leave that like that, because none of the metal is great. If you try and weld it, it'll only be a sort of cosmetic weld, you know, it won't be one of any real great substance. Might be able to see what's going on here actually. Yeah, there's the screw coming through from the top and through the new sill, which you can't see, and then through the old sill. So that's got it nicely captured there, and it does feel very secure. Okay, I'll leave it at that for now because I've got some things I need to do. Okay, take care and I'll catch you on the next one. Cheers then, bye. Hello, I've been thinking about the sill on the 100E and I am going to try screwing it in place. It has the strengthening behind it, so I thought, well, I'll give it a go at screwing it on. If at the end of the day I'm not happy, I can always take the screws out and weld it on, but it would help me get it all in place, wouldn't it? So what I think I'm going to do is maybe go for about 7 along here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 1 in the middle there, 5, 6, 7, like that. I'll mark it off and get some locations and screw it on. I will do some marking out and drill some holes and bring you back. And I've got to do it along the bottom as well. Probably be about, what, about, if you say 7, 8, 9, 10, probably 10 or 11 along the bottom. Okay, back in a bit. Okay, there's the sill in place. Now these screws tend to stand out a lot because they're shiny, and I was a little bit out of position with this one. It was a bit this way. That one there, for instance, is further in. That's more like where I wanted it, like that one and that one. So these three here are a little bit this way. I might be able to file the holes actually. I had to, where there was a little return edge, I just dollied it flat locally here, but that's attached there now and all along the back, so the top edge is firmly attached. And what I might do is look for some slotted pan head screws, something, you know, that's a little bit more low profile. I mean, these might be alright if they're painted matte black. If you get down low you can sort of see the screws and the washers, but you don't normally go this low to a car because bear in mind the car's jacked up. But that's pretty well firmly attached at the top now. If I decide I don't like it, I can always drill in between and plug weld and then weld those holes up, you know, plug weld there and plug weld in between. I'll leave it like that for now because I like the fact that I can take it off, you see, to finish it all off and paint inside, and it can go back together without burning all the paint off. I'm not 100% convinced. I think I will leave it and decide if I hate it enough to redo it or if I just forget about it. If I just forget about it, it means that I've kind of accepted that it's okay. I suppose I ought to put at least 3 or 4 screws in the bottom just to hold it in place, and then I'll decide whether I want to put the extra ones in. Back in a bit. Hello. Right, I have put 4 screws in along the bottom. 3 of them are just those self-drilling screws that you use with roofing sheets, you know, metal sheets on the roof. And I didn't self-drill them, I drilled a hole and then screwed them in just as temporary. But this one here is a similar screw, but I think it's for when you're screwing the sheets into wood. But I've took the washer off. But the thing is, they do go into those clips that I've got. And if you look down under the back, under there, maybe, yeah, you can see it coming through, and you can see the clip on the back. Now, I've just put it flat rather than round the metal, because the hole is so close to the edge of the metal that the clip sticks down. But I think that's not too bad with that small 8mm head, the small flange. And the thing is, that same screw will go in along there. I must have some more somewhere, but I'm pretty sure they're pretty cheap to buy because they're used in the, you know, the hundreds when you're doing the roof. So I'll find a few more of those and I'll replace those along the top. Let me, yeah, I'll be back in a sec. I'll just take that one out of there and I'll just put it in one of the more noticeable ones there, and you can see the difference. There's one of those screws in there, and you can see it's a lot less noticeable. You can imagine, like, when everything's painted black, it's better, isn't it? I'm looking from this angle. You can see the washers there, where you can't really see anything there, can you? Bear in mind, you'll be, you know, up here when the car's down on the ground. I think that's not too bad. I think that's okay. And I think how I had that one there, now you can buy clips or you can just cut the clips down. So I think I might go with that along there as well. But I'll try and find some blunt screws. Blunt screws and blunt clips the right size. I've only got a little bit of time today to work on this. I've got some other things I need to do, so I'm going to leave it at that for now. At least I've kind of got a plan in place to move forward. Having a solution is as good as having the job done. All you got to do is get the bits and put them on, haven't you? Drill a few more holes in between. Okay, righto. Jolly good then. Take care, and I'll catch you on the next one. Cheers then. Bye. Hello. I'm down under the car. Here's the sill. I've screwed it on with these roofing screws and clips behind. I've left the clips as they are, even though they're not clipped around a piece of metal. They still work like that. I could trim them off, or I could get some flat ones. But for now, these are actually the self-drilling screws, but I didn't self-drill them. These are clearance holes. So I've put these on all the way down. But what I've just been doing is I've shortened this screw and this one and made it blunt. These aren't sharp anyway, they're them self-drilling ones, but they're actually not really sharp. But I've shortened these. I didn't just zip them on the car. I could do, I suppose. Yeah, I could just zip along those and cut them all on the car. But I then kind of just chamfered them a little bit on the grinding wheel. There's one that I'd done. So when it all gets finally fitted, I can fit the shorter screws. I can see if I might get some flat clips, but to me that's perfectly adequate. It's got the extra strengthening inside as well. You know, what can you do? It's an old car, isn't it? We're not going to be doing the London to Sydney rally. Okay, so that's the underside. So that's all done to my satisfaction. If you don't like it, well, tough. If you're looking from a reasonable angle, you can't actually really see the screw heads. And I've replaced the ones on the sill plate, you know, at the top, and they're not so noticeable now. I think it's looking okay. You know, you stand here, which is more of a normal height. In fact, this is still low because, you know, the car's jacked up. You can't really see anything. But the beauty is that everything there can now be painted inside and out and inspected every couple of years. and you know, washed out and touched up and repainted. That, there's no reason why that there shouldn't last forever. You know, I might be a bit optimistic with that, but you know, hey, okay. The other thing about it is that there's a small element of adjustability as well. You know, there's a little, you can give it a little bump this way or pull it that way before you tighten it up. I think that's looking okay. Righto. Okay, as always, thanks very much for joining me in the garage then. Lots and lots more to come. I've been gathering parts, buying parts, arranging to meet people to pick up parts, and there's lots to be done yet. All the front suspension, more repairs at the front, but this was an idea that I wanted to try and follow through, and I'm quite pleased with it, to be honest. Extra heavy inner sill, a strengthened extra heavy inner sill, and then the outer sill just taking on a more of a cosmetic role, but still some element of strength to it, but compensated elsewhere. Okay, righto. Thanks very much then. Take care, and I'll catch you on the next one. Look, I found a pair of reflectors. They're not the cat eye ones that Jeff had on his bike, but they're like a copy, and they are made in China, but they're available on UK eBay. So I've put those on. I wonder if it might be possible to just polish the rim a little bit. It might look okay. I'll continue to look for some old Lucas ones or something like that, but I think, to be honest, they're okay. I had some others, but they do look very plasticky. These ones, they also look rather dark, but I think because these have got the aluminium behind, they look okay. Yeah, I'm happy with them. I can't remember how much they were. They weren't very much though, less than a tenner, so that's not too bad, is it? Okay, just a quickie. I'll bring you back when there's more to show. Hello, welcome to Mart's garage. I haven't come out to do any work, I'm not dressed for it, but something just arrived in the post, so I thought I would just try them in place and just see how it looks. And I just started working on something else as well, just, you know, I'll show you that as well. But yeah, these stainless screws came through, slotted pan head, so I've replaced these screws along here. I think they look okay, so I'm quite happy with those, to be honest. I haven't come out dressed for working, but I think they look better than those, because obviously those are, you know, they're just not in fitting with the car. So yeah, I'm quite happy with those, and they're stainless, so they're not going to rust, and they're not. It's not a highly critical fastening. I don't tend to use a lot of stainless stuff, so they're okay. And I'll try swapping a couple in along the bottom there and see how they look. The other thing I've just done, I was interested in trying to maybe reconstruct this area here, and because it's part of fastening the wing, but I don't want to do it completely custom, so that if ever a different wing was tried to fit, that, you know, it would have no chance of fitting. So I had to think about it, and then of course I've always got the other side, haven't I, as a pattern. Even though some of it's missing, a lot of it is still there, and the basic idea is there. So this fits here and matches the angle, and I've kind of made a guess at where it's supposed to finish, but I think I might be wrong on that because it doesn't match the other side very well. Yeah, I think it needs to be longer. So that's roughly it is the right angle anyway. It's the right angle, and I'll probably best just do the length of it to suit the other side. I need to get that lump of stuff out of there. Yeah, it needs to be extended down a little bit. So there's the idea. Probably just trim the button back a little bit, but there's the idea, and there's the angle that I want, and you can see that it clears the angle line, the slotted steel material. Yeah, so that's good, isn't it? Always never cut both sides off a car, and this needs to go along, be blanked off here, attached to there, and I need to do a little repair here. So yeah, I'm getting things in place to be able to make a repair. Okay, right, so there we go. Two or three little very little bits of progress. Some reflectors that I'm happy to live with, some screws that I'm happy to use, and the shape to allow me to start thinking about a repair there. Okay, I've got this strut here. Yeah, I think I'm going to use this strut on this side. So I haven't done any work for a few days because I've been racing at Pendine, so I'm trying to just refresh myself what I was looking at. I thought that this was compromised in this area, but to be honest, I feel it is okay. It's okay. It is pitted, but it's not pitted deep enough to be a problem. So I'm going to just use it. I've undone the steering arm, turned it round, and I will refit it in that direction there. You can undo them and turn them round and use them either way. Okay, so there's kind of some progress there. I want to end up with a pair of struts that I can use. I've got new bushes for all the stabiliser arms and everything, and I want to clean up all the steering things. I've got a little bit of welding to do there, not much, tiny bit. Clean this, scrape it, paint it. Clean this, scrape it, paint it, all this here. Weld a new little bit of metal in there. Possibly do something there. Possibly do something here. So yeah, there's plenty to do. This needs doing. The wing needs repairing. Everything needs doing. Okay. There's always something to do, and as long as I do something, it's a little bit further along, isn't it? Okay, righto, I'll come out later and start actually doing a bit. Until then, cheers then, bye. I'm under the car and I've tried one of those pan head screws in there, slotted pan head, and it looks okay. Looks better, I think. And I've shortened it down. I've got a better clip on the back. It's better than these. It's thicker sheet metal that they make it from, and I've cut the end off it and I've shortened the screw. So I'm happy with that. That looks pretty good to me, and it's capable of taking a fair bit of torque. So, you know, slowly we're honing in on a sort of what I would call okay I mean, they're okay, but them clips look a bit rubbish, don't they? This is a different type of clip. It's shaped differently, and I think it's stronger than those ones. Yeah, not too keen on these. Oh, there's something in there, isn't there? There's something there, like a bit of weld, a bobble of weld or something, so I need to get rid of that, because that's holding that off. Yeah, okay, yeah, imagine 10 of them all the way down the length of it, and it looks okay. I just had a message from one of the subscribers that comments, Chunky Lee Jones, and he said he used a piece of box section from there to there as a jacking point. I was just thinking maybe to do something similar, have it purely bolted on rather than try and create rust propagation points. I might look at doing that. Yeah, I've got the position there. I've got the position over there, so I can get a measurement where it has to go. It goes roughly in the middle of this area here. That's the join there. It's about here. So I can imagine just a plate bolted on, sticking down, box section, another plate sticking up with a flange, and then a couple of bolts there just bolted on so it can be taken off. A bolt on jacking point. Not that you'd ever use it, but from the outside it would just look like a standard one. I think you have to cut into here to a certain extent. Be interesting to see what a good quality one looks like, a real good one looks like. It might be round tubing actually. Yeah, I'm not sure. Okay, righto, enough waffle. Back in a bit.